What's going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. My name is Mark Jackson. I am your host, and you already fucking know that because I say it every fucking week. This gentleman coming into the show this week, he's been here before with a previous band. We're not supposed to talk about it. No, but they're playing in Louisville here on December 6th with Overload and Grave Ripper and Lights Out. Mr. Jason Schultz from Wraith. Welcome back to the Metal Forge. I think this is third time now.
Yeah, I think so, man. Yeah, thanks for having me,
Mark. Other than Rifle, I think you're one of my only three-peats.
No shit, yeah. That's cool, man. It's always a great time hanging with you, so I'll do 4, 5, 10 more, whatever you want. You just let me know.
Dude, I should just bring you on as maybe get you to do some live show interviews or something, you know, like, hey, ask this person. It's like Billy on the Street or whatever that fucking dude's name is.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Hell yeah.
It's like, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? Or what's the best thing, you know, and just fucking do one question, get them to do it and fucking just post it. That's, you know, that's the world we live in today, isn't it? It's like content driven down your throat.
Oh, yeah, content. I love that word.
Yeah, not art. No, because it's about what. But here we go already.
Dude.
So content is different than art.
There's a channel, and I don't know if any times we've been hanging at shows and stuff I ever mentioned this or if we ever got on this topic, but there's a YouTube channel that I really like. It's called Patrick H. Willems, and the dude is he's like a film critic. And he does these like awesome like hour-long breakdowns of like different like film tropes and movie things and like, you know, popular culture and all that. And he did a whole video on that that word, content, and how it cheapens art. And, you know, he has this whole kind of like thesis of, you know, we're constantly in this loop and you're on this content hamster wheel. And then you have all these platforms that actually refer to it as content, you know, content, get your content more views, you know, pay for an ad for your content. And he's like, at the end of the day, like, are you making content or are you making art? And I just think it's a really interesting question, you know. You go down a whole rabbit hole with that, but I always have to laugh whenever I hear the word now.
So that's a very real world thing, and it affects bands. See, this is what I've been telling you about. Like right before we started rolling, this two dudes talking kind of shit. This is what it's really coming up to. But I digress. But no, that's a very real world thing today because it's, you know, it's almost as if the music industry has reinvented itself, but it's repeating itself too. Yeah. Because you take like, once you get into the rock and roll era, 50s, okay, you got singles. You know, everything was on fucking 7-inch single. You know, you very rarely had full albums of full bands, you know, in the 50s and 60s. And then that's when that changed. Your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s was all album oriented stuff. Yeah, you did have singles, but those singles were to push albums. Now, fast forward to 2025, and I would almost be willing to bet for this last decade, 15 to 25, that we have went back to a single formula based on streaming.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, even, you know, with like myself and all the other, you know, dudes in Wraith, like, we're big album guys. So, like, you know, even when we're hanging, if we're working on stuff practice day or when we're driving in the van or whatever, I mean, like, you know, occasionally we'll do playlists and just kind of get something where, you know, it's not monotonous for your 5 or 6 hour drive wherever you're going, Timbuktu. But like for the most part, we like spinning albums, you know, and I think that's kind of a attention span thing too. Cause like for me, you know, I don't know, it's always weird like putting a playlist on because you hear a song and then I know like the records that mean something to me, I know what track 2 is. So if I'm listening to a song on a playlist that, you know, someone made or whatever, it's playing radio if you're like streaming something or whatever for the artist, and then it's like some random ass track 2, to me, it's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And more often than not, it makes me go into the page for whatever song I was listening to, and then I'll put the whole album on if it wasn't already the album. So, yeah, we kind of
So
appreciate that. I think that's kind of an art form, and not to say artists don't still do it, but it's kind of lost a little bit.
it really is. So that's funny that you say that because for me, short distance driving, just me going to practice, unless it's like an EP that's like a 20-minute EP or something, I'll put that whole thing on. But usually I'll hit like the daily playlist, the curated playlist on there.
Yeah,
But now if it's long distance driving, like on tour and stuff like that, or going, to practice for like Ice Howling those dudes and Chick, I'll put on albums,
yeah,
and I'll put on because it's a 2-hour drive one way. And
yeah.
yeah, so and I love that because exactly you say, well, I know what the next song is, or I'm even thinking like the next song and then the following. It's like, but then it goes into this and into that.
Yeah.
And I really caught myself doing that with and I'm gonna get so much shit, the Black Album.
Oh yeah, right on.
Because hearing something like Wherever I May Roam, and then knowing that it goes into like Don't Tread on Me, and then
Yeah.
Through the Never, and then that Through the Never riff, that's what we're all about, right? That's the
Yep.
basis of thrash.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think a couple for us, like they always make it on whenever we do, a longer road trip. Any of usually the first four Metallica records in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form, and then usually Black Album also, and then whatever kind of super cut of the latest three records. Usually there's like some Death Magnetic, some Hardwired, some 72 Seasons will make it in there, but not the whole thing because all those albums are like an hour and a half long or whatever.
Yes.
But at some
Oh yeah,
point, we'll play
Inamorata.
those. Yeah, yeah, we'll play those like in their entirety in the van or whatever. And same thing, you can just anticipate the changes and the next riffs but that stuff's so ingrained in our DNA. I mean, it's over 20 years of listening to that stuff and kind of feeding off of it for, our music and it's cool too because it's like with stuff like that, it's the overlap, because the
Mm-hmm.
four dudes in Wraith, like we come at everything from some like different directions a lot of the times. Like we all have our own influences and things that maybe we like or I might like and Matt might not like it, or Matt likes it, Chris doesn't like it, or whatever. That the Metallica stuff specifically, that's like the four of us that's the Venn diagram, that shit overlaps. So
Yeah, where it's all
you know what I mean?
intertwined.
So
The
those
one
are
I
the
saw
special
earlier this
bands.
week was great.
Yeah, if there's
Big beautiful
a
bill.
band that we can all kind of land on for a couple hours in the van or whatever, that's a special thing because we all have
Well,
such different tastes.
to be fair though, those four albums, I mean, you're looking at 40 to 45 minutes each until you get to Black, which is like 60 minutes.
Yeah,
So you could feasibly, if you're driving from fucking Louisville to St. Louis, getting the two confused again,
hmm,
which is a 4-hour drive, you could listen to all four fucking albums essentially.
yeah. Well, it helps the
And
passage of time too because it's like you know if you listen to them all the way through, like by the time you're getting to Justice or whatever. Oh, hey, we're getting pretty close. We're 45
yeah,
minutes away or whatever. So I like using
yeah,
albums like that too. And that's kind of a nice thing over a playlist. You might get a little more variety, but I feel like you got to make a real long playlist to get 4 or 5 hours of tunes, especially if they're shorter kind of thrash or punk or old school kind of rock and rolly heavy metal stuff, the Motorheads and the Thin Lizzies and a lot of Thin
for
Lizzy stuff.
sure.
I mean, they've got some longer songs, but we made these playlists that are 5, 6 hours long for some of those long road trips. And there's like hundreds of songs on there.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely. Dude,
yeah.
like I love the Fighting album from Thin Lizzy. It's because it's like it's heavy, but it's still like that early, like there's almost like a mysticism with like an early Beatles quality to it,
Yeah.
and it is so cool. And that was a happy accident find for me. Um, and yeah, that definitely is in the playlist. So yeah, I could
Yeah.
totally see doing some Thin Lizzy and stuff like that too. So you're a very accomplished guitar player. Like you're in a few different bands. You play vastly different styles in each band. It seems like um, when you're rolling down the road listening to these tunes like this and just whatever's going on, do you all actually like fixate and like talk about the riff still, like that riff right fucking there, like
Oh
what
yeah,
did
man.
Jesus, like how in
Yep.
the fuck did they
Yep.
do that?
Yeah,
Like how could you
constantly.
come up
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah, man. Seriously, like that's a big one for us because I can say probably I know for Matt and I it would be the same. I don't know if necessarily Chris and Mike feel the same way about the record, but for me, like Injustice for All is like tied for first place. Like that's one of my favorite records of all time. And we will still spin that and we'll listen to like like Shortest Straw or the
Oh
title track
yeah.
or Blackened. And it's funny because it's like we've literally listened to those songs a million and one times. We've listened to them half a million times together over the years in different scenarios. We're drinking in the garage, we're drinking in the basement, we're, in the van on the way to the show, or wherever, we're at a barbecue in someone's backyard, and it's always the same. It's always the same. Like we all look at each other and we catch that middle riff in Blackened, or we catch like the main kind of theme riff in Shortest Straw, and we're just like, what the fuck were they on, man? Like this
Well,
is
yeah,
sick.
you say
How'd they
shortest
do this
straw, and
shit?
I immediately think of the backwards like formation at the but and it's like to watch it be done. It's
Yeah.
the like you would do it like a certain way, but they're doing it backwards, and it's so
Yeah.
fucking trippy. And it's like, what the fuck were they on?
Yeah, it's super cool, man. No, it's awesome. Yeah,
um,
we still catch ourselves with all that stuff, and we'll kind of pick out like we do that a lot. And I don't know if you do it with your bands, but like we'll be listening to stuff and like say we're just to use an example, like we're cruising down the road. We're a lot of the times we'll leave after work on a Friday night, and we'll be heading out to out east or something. So we got a 5 or 6 hour drive to get to the hotel to play the gig on Saturday or whatever we're doing. And we'll have our songs on. So say we listen to Overkill or something, or an old Exodus record or whatever, just to use some other examples from Metallica. And we'll get to some part and it'll be like, oh, dude, like the breakdown or mosh part in that Overkill song on Years of Decay is sick. Like we got to do our own version of that. Or, oh, we got to do a version of this, or we got to like take some influence for that, like make a note of that. We got to do like a part that kind of makes us feel the same way, when we
as
write
the
the
classic
riff.
stuff did.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
just really cool because it's just kind of taking that inspiration and, doing something with it, keeping it fresh. So I that's why I kind of love that because it's cool too when you're in a confined space like the van. That's kind of like the theme, I guess we're talking a lot about that. But when you're in that confined space and you're all kind of sharing that moment of the music together, a lot of inspiration strikes that way. And we kind of will
mm-hmm.
take a note down, or Matt will pull his phone out. He's got all his song titles and lyric ideas, and we want to do this on the next record. And he'll add a note like, trade off solo section, big
Hell
harmony
yeah.
intro, clean, interlude or whatever. And it's like, oh, hell yeah, it's cool just to kind of have those ideas we can pull from.
Definitely. And that's so cool that you triggered another a thought here again with you mentioned Exodus, and just even still diagnosing the riff, as I guess is what it would be. And even on the newest album, Persona Non Grata, I that's another, I think that same stuff applies. It's like, holy shit, how did they do this? And like, even like hearing like in like Judas, take Turbo Lover,
Yeah.
you know just even the other stuff that goes on in like what you hear, like
Yeah.
things crashing down, or like Metal Gods, for example, the break, I don't want to say breakdown, but the interlude piece, that's what
Yeah.
they used to be called, was done with fucking silverware on a marble floor. They
Yeah, yep,
recorded
yep,
it.
yep, yeah.
But like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
and
the
hearing shit like that, and the
yeah, the
whole album experience, you miss so much just by like singles, I think.
yeah, no, for sure, man. Yeah, like the production of it, like just picking up those little things and ideas and oh, hey, it'd be cool maybe to like fade out of, track one and fade into track two this way or like do this or what's that called? And then, just kind of pull different ideas to where, yeah, it's like it's not that we're doing something that's never been done before, but like try to take that idea or that template and kind of make it our own, and do something with it. So we've been pretty successful with that so far. So, I think it's always cool to just kind of dig into the deep history of metal, and the deep bag of tricks and just
Oh
kind of,
yeah.
get
And
some fresh ideas out of it.
well, and two, doing that, you end up hearing just like, going into different people. And you can listen to bands like Metallica and Exodus and Testament and Slayer. And then you start to notice the more you get into their influence bands. Like,
Yeah.
and dare I say bands like Ted Nugent and,
Yeah.
because and Van Halen and Black Sabbath, and you start to hear those where it's like this part of this song is very reminiscent of this part in this song, like
Hmm.
getting some
Totally.
like Into the Void and shit like that
Yep.
into some of that thrash is totally cool to watch it come full circle and see all the influence and being
Oh
the
yeah.
artist with it. When you're doing stuff like that, when you're like listening in it and you get the idea like twin solos or trade off solos and stuff, have you ever got to the venue or had to stop and pick up a guitar and just say, this, wait a second, fucking, I got this fucking idea, I have to do it?
Oh man, not so much like anytime we're like out and we're playing shows or we're traveling for shows, usually not. I don't really write, funny enough, now that you said it, because I haven't thought of it until just this moment right now, but most of the time I'm not writing anything like when we're doing that because I'm so kind of focused on like the gig coming up and like the songs that we're going to be playing, the set we're going to be playing at the show. So a lot of the times it's just like kind of have that idea as like a template or something that we want to do. And then for me it's funny, man, like my phone, I've got 100 like riff tapes, to use a Hetfieldism, I guess. I've got like me playing like unplugged electric guitar up in my jam room here at home. I've got me in the car humming a riff into the phone. I've got me, I'm at work and I like find a quiet corner and I'm over there in the corner humming a riff so I don't lose it, And I'm sure all the dudes have some variation of that, but like a lot of the times if I can kind of get down like a rhythm or if it's something that has some sort of melody to it, if I can kind of approximate the melody and kind of hum it into the phone or whatever, then I'll be like, okay, at least the idea is there. Because the way my brain works, man, it's like the fucking scene in the Matrix with all the guns are flying by.
Oh
So it's like
yeah.
if I don't get that shit down and it's like it exists somewhere else other than up here, it's gone a lot of the time. So most of the time when I write, it's kind of funny, but most of the time when I write, I don't have a guitar with me. It's like I'll just have an idea and I'll come up with like a riff or a melody or a theme or something. And as long as I can get a version of it where I can hear the changes or I can figure out what the timing is, I can then figure it out when I get home from the day or, whatever. And then that's when I'll sit here and I'll kind of iterate on it. Like if I'm working on a riff, like a case is on the last Wraith record, Fueled by Fear, there's a song called Truth Decay. That's one of the last songs on the record. And, I wrote a lot of the riffs and kind of the main structure of that, but I iterated on it a ton. I kind of had like a few rough ideas. And then my process is I just sit here and I'll keep playing the riff. And then maybe on the 25th time through, I change the tail a little bit. And then I just keep evolving and evolving and iterating on the riff until I get to a point where it's like, oh, this is, I'm going to show the dudes, I'm going to bring this in on Wednesday for practice. And I'm sure everyone's got some version of that, but that's just kind of what works for me. So,
Oh yeah.
I don't ever use any sort of DAW, like I don't do Pro Tools or any of that. It's literally all just play it through, record something on the phone, find a drum track in the right tempo, play it through my little Bluetooth speaker, and then just play along to it, and then that's kind of how I write. So,
So yeah, you still have a pretty well I don't want to say well, technically it's old school for kids these days. The early 20s kids is it's kind of an old school mentality. But yeah, our version of the riff tape where we don't have to record on like a Fostex or a Tascam
yeah,
actual tape recorder like I started out on.
yeah,
And which is fine and it's fun and it had its place. But yeah, but like right now, I'm the same way. I'll do this. I have access to do it,
yeah,
but I don't do it because I just I don't like recording myself for some
yeah,
reason. I like the
yeah,
recording process. Like when I can go in and just fucking hammer out a bass riff and or whatever. And but yeah, but the whole idea of like sitting here and writing it, I would just rather write it and say this is a cool riff, record it, send it to the dudes and say, "Hey, what do you think?"
yeah.
And
See,
just go from there.
it's been really cool because like, Matt has really kind of dived into like the demoing process and like, working in a DAW to like, kind of help us get a rough version of a
Yeah,
song. And that helps because everyone in Wraith, like, we're very everyone's a perfectionist in the band and we're very much kind of sticklers for like, is that one chorus too many? Is it too long? Is it too short? Like, does it need a solo? Does it not? What's it missing? What does it need? And having demos of the stuff to like actually pick apart prior to us going in and recording is really, really beneficial. So he kind of has it set up where it's cool. Like we'll work out the idea for the song, and then he's got like an electronic kit that Mike can play, and then we'll all be plugged into the interface, and then we'll do it, which is kind of cool. We do it just in a clean session and with not even a click or anything. We literally just play the song
sure.
together in the our little practice kind of writing room, and then it gives us a good idea of like tempo and parts and what do we need to tweak, do we need to take some out, does it need to be faster when we go to record it. So that's really cool. But it's funny, man, it's like in all the years I've played and all the songs I've written and helped write, I've had that same process. I never really had the interest in like diving too deep into like Guitar Pro and DAWs and all that. It's like
Sure.
I'll write the music, I'll record it, that's cool, but I don't have any interest in recording myself. I don't have any interest in recording other people. I have no
Yeah.
interest in sitting there for 5 hours tabbing something out. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
I just want to play. I
And
want to
there's
write
people that
music and I
do,
want
and
to
that's
play.
great for them. That is awesome. But like for
Yeah, it's
me,
cool.
I'm
It's
the
a
same
skill set
way.
for sure,
Yeah.
but
And I'm
it's
totally
never
the same
clicked for
way.
me,
Like this is the extent. This is
Yeah.
the extent right here. Maybe having a couple of people in studio
Yeah.
that but that's pretty much the extent of the DAW system for me.
Yep. Yeah.
It's just doing this podcast.
Yeah. So
Um
I'm just glad that Matt kind of is dipping his toe in that because, that's been a really the last couple records that's been super beneficial to have because
oh yeah.
other than that, you can do a phone recording in the practice space of whatever you're working on, but then it's like you're trying to get,
A
four
good
two half stacks blaring and a drum kit and a cinder block basement with the phone sitting in the center, and like that's gonna sound like shit. You're not gonna know what's going on. So we have those for everything where we've worked on in the past and continue, and it's always cool to like revisit those and see how the song developed over time. But to just have like a clean version where at least you can hear what the fuck is going on, with all the instruments and everything,
well
is
the
super helpful.
Well, here's the beauty part of that. If you, I know if you have an iPhone, you can actually just do the video, but do it in cinematic. because then it picks up the actual like the better mic instead of like that
Oh
little
yeah,
tiny piece of
that's
shit.
probably what they do. I'm the only guy, and I hear about it constantly. I'm the only guy in the band that has an Android. So they've
Yeah.
got all their chats and they're like sharing videos and shit back and forth. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we'll send it over snail mail. And hopefully, the passenger pigeon arrives to, Jason's phone. So I think Matt always jokes around that he's like, I'll get you an iPhone for Christmas. Would you use it? And I'm just like, you do whatever you got to do, man.
Dude, I
So.
mean,
They give me endless shit about it, but it's kind
I
of a
get
joke
it.
at this point. I don't even want to ever go dip my toe into the Apple thing now, just for the principle, just to be
Well,
that
sure.
prick now at this point.
Well, what's funny is Mike, my mic doesn't have Messenger.
Oh yeah,
So like, so when you send him in the band chat on Messenger, he won't see it until, he gets home and checks his Facebook page.
oh
You
shit,
know.
yeah. Log into your tower, your desktop, and
Yep.
yeah,
Well, the laptop these days, I
yeah,
think. But yeah,
yeah,
back in my day it was well, in his day it was a desktop too, because he's older than I
yeah.
am.
Yeah, we
um,
all kind of go through those various stages where sometimes a couple of those dudes they'll kind of take a break from social media, which I totally get because I've been trying to like kind of ease back on it too. I really only do it for the bands, to try to keep up on stuff. But personally, I'm not really posting a ton. I mean, I'm on there and I'll look at it usually more than I should a day, but it's kind of funny. It's like I really lean on that for communicating and just kind of like, hey, we have like our band chat just like any band, and oh, hey, this gig offer came in. Is everyone cool for it? And if it's all working great, within 15 minutes, usually we'll have a yay or nay on a show or an opportunity or whatever, or our merch decision or kind of band business. So I think in that case, it definitely is a good thing. But then the bad is little fucking things constantly blowing up, and it's constantly all day
exactly.
long. So it's a balance.
And yeah, and you know, for what it's worth, yeah, with making films that like inspired so much, things like Star Trek, Star Wars, Blade Runner, all of that, Alien, all of that super industrial sci-fi, I guess you could call it. Um, the things that like the things that they have in those films in the that we didn't have that we have today kind of thing,
Yeah,
like this video chat.
yeah.
This wasn't a thing during any of those, so but now look at us. So it's like, yeah, but the whole thing is like where it is. Would you trade it back? I probably would. I
Yeah,
would,
there.
because like I imagine like my romanticism to it is like um seeing a stage show for a band and not having it spoiled by a YouTube video or Setlist FM.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have some mystique to it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
something to that. I think for sure. And you kind of that's been lost. I mean, there's a lot of things I think that it definitely is a good thing, or there's a lot of ways it's a good thing. But that's one of those where yeah, you don't really have that anymore. Like there's a lot of you talk about artists, whether they be musicians or actors or whatever, where it's just kind of like they would have benefited from, I think, having the mystique around them preserved more than like being so out there and just have that platform to kind of say or do whatever. It's not always necessarily a good thing, I think. But it's just kind of
Well, and that's funny that you say that, because like take somebody like Lady Gaga, who is basically just the persona that's turned up to 100 or whatever. But like anytime they bring up like personal life stuff, they that completely deflect. Like, why does that fucking matter? You know,
yeah,
it's like you're talking to the persona, you're not talking to the person.
yeah, right, yep,
So yeah, like that whole mystique is still there in a present day setting, I guess you could say.
yeah.
With where back then it was all there. So but yeah. So obviously, y'all are coming down for December 6th at Mag Bar. Um, First time in Louisville?
Yeah, first time for Wraith.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm really
So
excited, man. Louisville is one of those where, for me, I have some friends that live down there. I think you might have met them.
I
The
did.
last time we played, because they'll usually come out to our shows and stuff. But yeah, Louisville, man, it was one of those cities where I think I've told you this before too. Like, it was always just a pass through. It was like driving 65 down. Oh, we're going to Florida Gulf Coast for the family vacation. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to the southern East Coast, or we're going wherever. And it was always one of those places where we kind of drove through but never spent any time there. And over the past probably 4 years, in visiting my friends that moved down there, even before I played down there, it's a real cool spot, man. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. There's a lot of cool little, kind of bars and restaurants and little districts and history and just a lot of cool
Very much.
stuff where I always have a really good time coming down. So, I've been really lucky to get my other band, Idle Throne, down there a few times now, kind of shows that you've either played or put on, and, they've been really good times. So, I'm really stoked, man. I'm excited to get Wraith down there finally. I can't believe that we haven't yet. It just seems like it never works out or never worked out prior to this December show. But,
Well,
that's
but to be
badass.
fair, to pull back the curtain, this show has been almost a year in advance.
Yeah, I went over. We were talking about it for a while, so I'm really excited about it. And dude, I just love like I've had the opportunity now as Wraith has been able to travel, and we did some touring. We've done a few international things now, and like I've seen so many cool like metal venues and metal bars and just places that kind of have that spirit. And like I love Magbar.
Oh
It's got
yeah,
the spirit, man. It's got the vibe. It's just like it's cool. It's definitely the type of place that we would all be hanging out at, pounding beers on a Friday night after work if we didn't, live 4 hours away. But
sure.
I love it. It's
It
always a great time.
it's our cheers.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
can see
mean,
that.
that's
Yeah,
the most the affectionatest thing. It's like it's everybody knows your name there. It's like, hey,
yeah,
it's Mark. Hey, dude, what's up? It's like,
yep.
Jake, how you been, man? It's been a
Yeah,
minute. And that's the cool shit about it. And Black Circle's that way for me.
yeah,
It's like seeing so many cool people up there and stuff. And that's kind of the midpoint for both of us, I would say,
yeah,
because you're up in Chicago, I'm down here in Louisville. You're near Chicago, I should say.
yeah.
Um,
Can't say we're from Chicago. Can't do it.
no, no,
Don't want to
no,
be
because they
controversial.
would
No.
because Chicago proper would probably get mad, right?
Well, that's the thing too. We none of us would claim it, but it's one of those things where if I say, "Hey, yeah, I'm from Dyer in Indiana," no one knows what that is, where that is. But if I say, literally, I could see Chicago from my front porch, people go, "Oh, yeah, Chicago." Everyone knows Chicago. Or Gary is the
with
other one.
but Wraith should actually claim Dyer
Yeah. Well, no.
because
So
it's
we always say,
Dyer.
yeah, Dyer. I think back in the day when many many years ago, I think that was my like tagline on my MySpace page was
Oh,
Dyer's Eve,
there
because
you
I
go.
grew up in Dyer. I lived in Dyer for a long time. That's my hometown. So, but it's right on the border, of
Sure.
Illinois. So literally, I remember like, you could if you were standing on my roof of my folks' house and you looked northwest, you could see the Chicago skyline.
Dude,
Because
that's
we're
awesome.
only a 40-minute drive from downtown. You get on 8094 and take 294 up or whatever, however you want to do it, or the toll road, and you're right there. So, but yeah, man, it's cool. Like, we talk about those venues, you say Black Circle, like we got those kind of like home base venues that just are like it's like kind of that comfortable sort of like, oh, we're home sort of thing. Like I think for me, and I'm hoping that the dudes have kind of the same vibe, and I think they will, knowing the favorite places we've played over the years, that they're going to enjoy Magbar also.
Oh yeah.
But Black Circle, killer place. We always have a great time there. And then Chicago, you got like Reggie's and Livewire is awesome. We always have a great time at Livewire, and that's kind of for us the same kind of vibe. You know what I mean? To me, when I was comparing like Magbar, and kind of telling the guys what to expect, I kind of told them, yeah, it's like basically kind of like Livewire mixed with, and then I threw out some other joint, some other city we've been in on the East Coast or something. So,
Yeah.
but that's cool, man. It's the type of places I love because they have personality.
Oh yeah, they
You
do,
know, they,
absolutely. And they always
they got
have.
history,
From
personality. They love the
and
music.
and you mentioned that about Louisville, and not to get like commercial for the city or anything here, but like, yeah, there are some pretty cool walk of life stuff that goes on. The architecture that you've had that's around, especially Magbar. If you're, just up the street is the St. James Court. They have these big elaborate mansions and shit. But
Yeah,
like all of the old Victorian style houses are still there. And then when you
yeah,
get over into the like the park, like at Cherokee Park, they've got a lot of huge houses and shit in there too. So, but like some pretty cool stuff that you can even do, like you said, like restaurants and stuff like that. It's don't forget Pizza Denisi next door to the Mag Bar
yeah.
with the fried
The
rav and the fried
the
rav is so
lifesaver,
good.
man. I'd be face down in the gutter many a night at Magbar if it had not been for the what is it, like half off slices over there when you
Oh
play or
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah.
That's a lifesaver.
So yeah, like, shout out to them. They sponsor the Metal Forge, obviously, and it's, I love them. They're great people. So
Yeah.
hell yeah. So what a lineup, homies from Indy with Grave Ripper, and then here also with Lights Out. More of like a little bit of a metalcore band, but still rips like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm totally looking forward to this. It's going to be Overload's last show of the year, and then we're going to go into writing mode, I think, because we haven't put
Hell yeah.
anything out for a minute. But ultimately, I'm just, dude, I'm jonesing to see you all because I've never got to see Wraith live.
Oh yeah. Oh no shit, really?
Yeah, because
Wow.
the last time you all played in Indy, it was like I didn't find out until like that, like it was like shit, it's today, and it's like, why didn't I know about this? Because content.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 right. Well,
But
no,
yeah,
man, that's
so
cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Like that's the thing for me that's really cool is I think over the years as we have like grown as a band, like we've all obviously been friends for decades now, but we've kind of grown as a band and we figure out, the way we want to build the show, and not just play a bunch of songs. How do we make it an experience, and how do we make it a metal show and high energy and kind of maintain all that? So I think we've, certainly you can always improve, but I think, based on the shows we've played over the last year or so, it's just been a lot of fun. I love the energy. I love kind of like feeding off the crowd. I love seeing people having a good time and fucking headbanging and moshing, and that just like is plug me right into the battery, man. Like that just when I see that sort of shit, it just emboldens me and it makes me, play it better and play the best I can and fucking gives me energy. And, I start doing dumb shit and backflips and pull out my David Lee Roth
holy
katana
shit,
and do
really?
all that stuff. No, you ain't seeing my big ass do a backflip. I couldn't
So,
get it halfway around, man. I'd be on my
so
back.
going back here for a minute, first time on the Metal Forge was during COVID. Okay, you had put out Absolute Power, and then ended up putting out the quarantine sessions,
Mhm.
um kind of on a reprint with Absolute Power. um you're coming into Louisville your first time, and with such a banger album as that, and then the second album, um Undo the Chains,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
Okay.
that was at
Yeah, I had to remember.
2021,
I'm
I
having
think.
that. I'm having that old man moment, where I'm like, wait, what? And then fueled by fear. So coming into a new market, how do you assess the situation of like how to play, how to curate a set from such a grandiose set of songs that over the
Yeah.
last 5 years, and people here obviously being on your radar as well.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's tricky, honestly. And that's the thing too. It's like every passing, year, couple years when, you have more songs to choose from, you add another record to the lineup and then try to pick stuff. Like I think, Matt and I were talking about it not too long ago, like we have a list, like a running list of all the songs from all the records, and there's like 65 songs or some shit if you add up between all the albums, the splits we've done,
Mm-hmm.
EPs, and it's like, it's always one of those interesting things. And I'm sure you got a thought on this, so I'm curious what your take is. But when you're building a set out, there's that kind of balancing act, or I don't want to use the term conflict, but you look at like, for example, okay, go on right now on Spotify and you look at what the top 10 plays are, right? But
Sure.
I don't think as a band you should be beholden necessarily to that to choose what songs you play. It shouldn't just be
No.
the greatest hits for your set, but you also want to make sure that if there's one song that's got a million plays or something, you want to make sure that like you're playing that one because that might be the song people know. But then I might have a deep cut, or one of the guys might have a deep cut song that we really want to try out live, or be like, oh man, like, that's a cool one. We haven't played that in 5 years or 6 years or some shit. Let's bring that one out. And, we've brought songs like that out and they do really well and they stay in the set for a year. But then we've also tried songs and it's a fucking lead balloon. And by the next night, I'm holding the set list in the van and I'm scratching shit out because I pre-print all the set list most of the time. And sometimes, oh, this works well. Yeah, this will be the tour set list or whatever. And then sometimes it's like by night two, we're making changes and no, move this around, put this one at the beginning of the second block, cut this one out.
Well,
So it's
that's
interesting. It's
that's
hard.
so cool that you say that, because honestly, yeah, if you know what you're doing, and but you got to be able to gauge what's going on. And it's like, okay, well, this didn't go over last night. Should we take it out, or or just move it? Maybe
Yeah.
we didn't play it in the right place.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And which is ultimately a lot harder when if you are actually running like the IEMs and the
Oh
track
yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
You got the
So
show kind of preset, with
yeah.
lighting, or you got other shit. Yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to be,
Yeah, so
as
then you're actually getting
spontaneous.
into code, and then you're just like cutting and chopping, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
creating extra work in the van.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
um,
Yeah, so yeah,
but
I think
no,
it's
I
funny.
go ahead.
No, I would say we haven't really put the set together yet for the show. We got a few weeks, obviously, and I think probably this upcoming week we're gonna get together and kind of figure out what we're gonna do. But yeah, I know that there's some kind of old favorites that are always gonna be represented, but then there's been a lot of talk about doing some different stuff and trying some different stuff out. And I think as long as those songs people kind of expect to hear are in there and they're represented wherever they're at in the set, um, then I think you got some leeway. You got a handful of songs that maybe are people are going to be like, oh, I never heard that one, but that's cool. Let me check that
Sure.
out. Or for us, it's been interesting too because I know one of the things Matt and Mike always talk about specifically from like the real early stuff, like before Chris and I were even involved. Um, Playing some of those songs and trying to give those their due because it's like a lot of people hopped on with Absolute Power, which is awesome, and I know that's a lot of people's favorite Wraith record, which is killer, and I'm really proud of that album. But there was two records before that,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of cool songs on there. And I remember, when Absolute Power was brand new, like we didn't have as many songs, so we were playing a lot of those old songs. But then as time went on, you tend to find yourself in a position where now we're playing a lot of Absolute Power and a lot of Undo the Chains, and then there's a few of the songs that have kind of worked off the newest record, and then you try to get maybe two or three of the songs from those first two records on there as well. But it's tricky because like what two or three do you pick? You want to
Exactly.
pick the ones that are going to resonate, people are going to dig or whatever, or get people to check those old albums out. You don't want to pick the one that like, maybe it's not the best song in the world, or maybe we would have done something different, and then people are like, oh shit, okay, well I liked all 15 songs except for that one. I'll never
Right.
check that record out.
And yeah, we're the same way with that. It's like, do we do anything off of this album this time or this year or
Yeah.
whatever? It's like I want to work this in. Say I want to do Mouth of Metal, whatever, or Help Me Doctor, shit like that. And it's like, but then I'm thinking about it, it's like, do I really want to? It's
Yeah.
been because it's been since 2011, so since that album came out. So it's like,
Yeah.
is it time to revisit yet?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And then it's always talking too, like, we haven't done anything recently, but for a while there, we were doing a lot of secondary releases. We were doing, like you said, the quarantine sessions, and then we did few other EPs, a couple splits. We did Faster Than the Fucking Devil. We had, there's a couple other things we did where they were like kind of like standalone songs, but
Counterattack single.
yeah, yeah, like
Uh,
stuff where it's like, well, we like playing stuff off of Faster Than the Devil. And then there's a few songs on quarantine sessions that I think we've played in Extinction a ton because it's a fun song to play. And that's kind of been always kind of in the rotation. But we're like, oh, are there any other songs on, that EP that we want to bring out or dust off or whatever? So, it's just trying to change it up to where it's also interesting for the band because we want it to be fresh too. You don't want to be on
sure.
autopilot and just. I always liked whenever I've heard a lot of bands like we look up to, like you look at like the Exoduses. They're one they're really good for it where when they have a new record out, they like playing the new material. They
Hmm.
want to feel like they're kind of like still a contemporary, vital band where like the music they're writing is important and they want to get it out there. They don't just want to be the greatest hits band. So I
Sure.
think it's like finding that balance where you're still representing that material, but you're also kind of playing the new, whatever the new thing is you're working on, right? Or whatever the new material you're working on, try to get that out there too, so that maybe those are the standards or the songs the band's known for 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. They want to hear the new one because you gave it a shot live and you played it. The only way to get people
Absolutely.
familiar with that shit.
And
So
I think that's, even then going to, talking about Metallica, they still do a lot of their newer material live on on those tours,
yeah,
like
yep,
the 72 Seasons tour,
yeah.
that's still going on 4 years later. I think that came out in 21, something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. It's been out a while now for sure.
Yeah. But time is because you'll release the index case, the quarantine sessions, that was during the time that the world reset. So even what was it, Hardwired? It was 2016,
Yeah,
9 years ago. What?
that's wild.
But yeah, it's like it doesn't seem like it because everything changed. Um, Hell yeah, man. So let's switch over. Let's talk about Jason as a person. Whatever's the thing. Do you what? I'm not gonna ask that question. Fuck that. Do you own any cookbooks?
Yeah, actually, we own a lot of cookbooks.
Do you use them?
No, it's one of those things where it's like you buy a cookbook and you're like, oh yeah, we'll make a ton of recipes out of this cookbook, and then you don't because it's like who's got time for that, especially right now. But no, so recently, not to, I won't make like a big thing out of it or whatever, but the last couple years I've been doing like vegetarian. And I say that very loosely because I've not been 100%. I do the best I can with it, but I've eaten chicken and, I eat fish and stuff. So kind of pescatarian. But my wife has been great with like she'll find cookbooks and stuff, and then we'll get them from like the library and scan recipes and shit like that. Like, oh, this will be great. We'll do such and such, and it's a tofu thing, stir fry, and all this, and it sounds great, but in actuality,
Right.
variety is the spice of life. But I find that more often than not, we're not making those recipes. Maybe every once in a while we will, but.
But
So I've
yeah, but
donated
not
a lot of
like,
cookbooks.
well, and honestly, it's like looking at I think most people look at the recipe list and say, "Okay, I got this."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, it was kind of like for a
Or
while,
the
the
ingredient
reason I
list, I
say it
should say.
about the vegetarian kind of pescatarian thing, I started doing that for health reasons, and it's kind of a totally different way of thinking about stuff. Because if you're used to like making things and you're making it with, your normal meat and all this, then you might not know what you can substitute. Or after a while, for me, it was like I was getting so bored of eating the same three things over and over and over again that like trying to break out of that rut. That's why, we started looking at some different recipes and cookbooks and stuff like that. But yeah, I just find depending on how busy life is, or, we might have a summer like the last couple summers where we're every weekend we're traveling, we're gigging somewhere, we're doing whatever. It's like, we ain't gonna make some complicated, gourmet recipe on a Tuesday after work. It just isn't happening, so
Exactly.
so I'll eat some rice usually. That's my
You
go-to.
know, here's the funny thing. I so this is I'm going to leave the part in. I'm not going to cut it out now because it makes more sense. But the question I said, I'm not going to fucking ask that is, do you still struggle to eat vegetables?
That's funny.
And then you
No,
said that,
no.
and then you said I've been going vegetarian. It's like, oh
Yeah,
well, that
no, I
makes
eat a ton of
that would
vegetables. That's
that would
that's
have been a
great.
great fucking question. Now,
Yeah, man.
see,
No, I
don't
got no
judge the
problem with that. Boy, I drink my water and eat my veggies, so I got no problems there. But it's
uh
just keeping that interesting over the long term.
oh yeah, absolutely. Um, hang on here. This is good because this kind of plays into not the other thing, but like the fandom in general because of like the power metal aspect. But
Yeah.
which is the best Lord of the Rings film?
Oh, best Lord of the Rings film? Would have to say, I mean, probably Two Towers. I like the first one a lot. Um, and I do have a special kind of like affinity for Return of the King because I remember going to see it with my dad. We saw the theatrical version, but it was funny because it was, and that's one of the things people always joke about. Like it has like 10 endings. And I remember like when the first ending came in, like getting up and like ready to walk away, and then like sitting there for another 45 minutes as all the subsequent endings came. So that's like a funny memory I have of that. And I'll always remember it because we were both at one point just like looking at each other like, oh, it's still going. And that wasn't even the extended cut. That was like the
The
theatrical version.
normal, yeah.
Yeah,
And they
so
added 40 or 50 minutes to it.
yeah, it's a lot longer, but yeah, probably Two Towers just because it kind of, it has all the like great battle scenes, and just that whole series. The cinematography was insane.
Oh yeah.
Peter
And
Jackson was on one when he was coming up with that shit, man. I don't even know how you keep that straight, in your head, all the production design and the
well, not only
visuals and all
that,
that.
but it was all they were all filmed at the same time.
Yeah,
They so like he all of the principal photography was done for all three films, and then they just did whatever animation and whatever
yeah,
reshoots
that's wild to
between.
me.
Yeah. So
Super cool.
and then to release, like expanded editions, where you're adding an hour of film of each film. It's like holy shit. And then
Yeah.
they, of course, they tried to recreate it with the Hobbit series, but which overall,
I think it was a cool way to tell the story. Like I appreciate that. But the thing for me with the Hobbit movies that was just weird, man, it's like they filmed it in that weird frame rate, and then
yeah,
like all the CGI as opposed to like all the practical stuff that they were doing. Like there was CGI in the original trilogy, like obviously, but I just feel like it was so glossy looking to
Yep.
as look kind of fake, you know? And it was just it pulled me out of it more than I really was like, oh shit, like there's some cool
That seemed
stuff,
to that
but
seemed to be a thing for that era though.
yeah.
Like there
Yeah,
was a
you
lot of
saw a
films
lot
that
of
did
that.
that. I think didn't wasn't like the I know the Last Jedi was that way. Or
I'm
yeah,
trying to think because that those
that's the
movies that was a
Ryan
little bit
Johnson one.
later, wasn't it? Or was all the same? It was like
Those
the
are around the
late
same time
the
period.
late teens. Yeah.
2015. Yeah,
Yeah.
2015 is when The Force Awakens came out.
Yeah, it's just some real kind of goofy stuff where it's just like and they talk about that a lot too, like that's the one of the things with modern like CGI and stuff in movies is that like weightlessness. Like it feels like what's another example is they always use there's that battle scene or fight scene in Black Panther where Black Panther and Killmonger are like fighting. It's like, you know, towards the end of the movie or whatever, and it's just
Uh-huh.
all CGI. It's two CGI characters in a CGI environment and it just looks fake as shit. Like
Yeah.
there's no weight, there's no like physics. It's just totally like, you know,
And
like
what's so wild
video
about
game.
that is if you watch some of these interviews with these actors that have not jumped on the Marvel train, that like they completely trash Marvel completely for like ruining the industry type shit,
Yeah.
you know. And what's wild because of stuff like that, which is
Yeah.
funny because if you're getting that way, should you actually like point the finger at the guy who pretty much started the technology going that way is George Lucas, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we are with
Yeah.
every film is Star Wars now.
Yeah, basically.
Um,
Yeah, those type of movies.
um, you into history at all?
Yeah, big time.
Do you have a specific time period that you like to study, or a specific culture or something that you like to study with
So what's
history?
really interesting with me is I very much I find like I have this curiosity about things where I will just go on these deep dives on like I love like Reddit for that. I love Wikipedia for that. I love YouTube for that, especially like find a lot of we talk content, but like there's a lot of these like creators and channels that are producing in some cases like some PBS quality documentary shit that's really, really good. You know, so like I'll if I get into something like I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I got really into shipwrecks. So then I learned everything there was to learn in about a 2 month span of like shipwreck. It was right around the time the Titan sub implosion happened.
Yeah,
And then because of that, that was in the news. And then I was just like, oh shit, you know, I'm kind of curious. So then I started watching stuff around that. And then I got onto shipwrecks. And then I got onto James Cameron talking about diving into the, you know, Mariana Trench
Mariana's
and the
Trench.
Challenger Deep and all that shit. And then that led me on a whole rabbit hole. And it was kind of funny because Chris, our bassist, did the same thing at the same time. And he went on this deep dive. And then him and I are sitting there at the bar drinking, you know, Miller Lite's talking about shipwrecks. It's like, what are we doing, you know? So I did that. But I've
When did
always
we
been really
become grandpas?
fascinated. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But I've always been really fascinated with just kind of 20th century history, World War II era. A big thing I'm really always been interested in is the like development of like the atomic bomb and like
Hmm.
nuclear weapons and stuff like that. I actually got a book I'm getting from the library that's about that right now, about the Manhattan Project that looks really cool. But, you know, just really interested in kind of in general, just history and you know, context. I really like kind of seeing how the pieces fit, you know, and I've always been interested in that. Been interested in that since school. I'm not a history major. Matt actually is. Matt's got his degree in history, went to college for history. So he's really into it. I got a few friends that are really into it as well. Took a trip to DC over the summer with my buddy who's got his master's degree in history, and it was cool, man. It was like I had a personal tour guide. We're walking
Yeah,
around and he's telling me all this shit and oh back in 1785 when this and this guy did this and I'm just like that's awesome, it's really cool. So yeah, man,
absolutely.
just really interested in it. And I think if you talk to the other dudes, like I know Matt, that informs a lot of his lyrics. He'll like talk about like different battles and warfare and different eras and kind of come up with imagery around all that stuff. So I know that's kind of a musically it's kind of cool. Like if you have that appreciation and understanding of like some of those historical elements and concepts and stuff, you can roll that into your
Yeah,
music. I know like the example I always use is Warbringer. John Kevill from Warbringer, the vocalist. I think he also has like some actual like schooling in history, and you can hear that in a lot of the music. Like his lyrics for the songs are very detailed and kind of in depth, talking about different battles and all that shit. And I think what was the record? I'm trying to remember. Woe to the Vanquished. There's a song, and it's like all about World War One, and it's just really cool. So I think that can really be a cool influence too. And I
sure.
just like
Yeah,
learning about stuff, man. I like
you
gaining
know,
knowledge
in,
constantly,
in
and
Motorhead, in
yeah,
in
yep,
stuff like 1916, that's about World War One and stuff
yep,
like that. And there's some other stuff, where he sings about, Orgasmatron, is about Mars, the
yeah,
god of war. If you look at mythology and history and things like that, so it all ties in.
yeah,
Um, if you're a reader, I can recommend somebody. You might, since you're into the shipwreck thing. Have you ever heard of Clive Cussler?
yeah.
Yeah, my mother is a huge Clive Cussler fan. She's like, this is a book about a shipwreck. It went down in 1918, and it was under mysterious circumstances. And then when you mentioned like the Manhattan Project with the history and everything, that's some wild shit too.
Yeah.
Not just with nuclear energy with the atomic bomb and stuff, but like the other things that they were working on, like cloaking device type technology,
Oh
and
yeah, all sorts of
and
crazy shit around that time.
apparently
Kind of
make
science gone
there's
wild a little bit.
yeah, making
Yeah.
stuff actually disappear and come back all deformed and messed up,
Yeah,
where people were in
Philadelphia
the
experiment or Philadelphia
yeah
project and all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah the
yeah,
Philadelphia stuff, dude. It's crazy stuff, and like,
yeah,
and then we look at now and wonder why. But
yeah.
aside from that, um, hell yeah, man. So before we go, Uh, as always, links are listed below. So please give likes, shares, follows, do all the things and all the stuff. Um, because yeah, that's what it's about. Come to the show on December 6th, see them play live in Louisville if you're in the area. Come out, have some fun. Do you have anything else you'd like to shout out or promote today?
No, man, honestly, I appreciate you having me on the show. We're stoked to come down and play. Like I said, first time in Louisville. Hope to pack that place. Want it to be a good rowdy time. Want to see everyone having a good time. We'll be there drinking beers and, hanging out and talking metal. So, like I said, hope the Louisville scene kind of turns out in force. That'd be a really cool way to kind of start our playing, career in Louisville. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, man. Apart from that, that's kind of our next show. We've had a couple months off here, but we're hard at work on the next record. So, I think after we get through a few of the shows we have in December, probably start looking towards, wrapping that one up as far as getting it recorded and all that. We're hoping next year sometime, new record will be out. I think that's probably realistic, but I'm really excited for what we've been working on. We got a really cool batch of songs that are coming along, and I think it's people are going to be kind of surprised and stoked because it's some really fast, aggressive, heavy shit. So may or may not hear some of that stuff soonish. Maybe we'll see, but
Ooh.
yeah, we're stoked, man. So I think 2026 is going to be a killer year just in general. So yeah, appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. As always, dude, you're awesome people. And I, when, like I said, you're a three-peat guest because obviously, now we can say it because it's the end of the interview. When you were here with Idle Throne, uh, for the latest album for there, and now with that EP and everything. But going back to 2020 and just even playing shows, dude. Thank you. You're just fucking awesome, dude. And just like it's cool to have one of these cool to catch up kind of moments, and just hang out and shoot the shit for a minute.
Yeah, always, man. Always a great time. So, wish we were a little closer. We could do it more often in person, but I'm always thankful for the times we do get to
Of
get together. So,
dude, and even just sending like little goofy messages here back and forth, like, hey, this made me think of you for some reason.
yeah, yeah.
And it's
Hell
some
yeah. No,
some
that's cool, man.
trash fucking video or whatever.
Yep.
um so obviously we always get that one deep question at the end of the show kind of thing, where it's conspiracy theory or a hypothetical or whatever. uh you know if you found out that you had a week left, what would you do with it?
Oh man, what would I do with it? I probably would. I wouldn't want to waste a bunch of time at the airports and all the other shit like that, but I'd probably travel. If I had a week left, I wouldn't want to die at my house. In Northwest Indiana, I would think I would want to die like on a mountaintop somewhere. So I would just
Sure.
travel. I would go someplace that, or a couple places I'd never been yet that I've always wanted to or were on my list, and go see something new and just be outside and be in nature and not worry about the dumb shit for the last week. That would be probably how I would want to go.
Absolutely, dude. I feel that. Yeah, just like at one with everything, just kind of not worried about the mundane bullshit of like who's going to win this next election, or what am I going to eat tomorrow,
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, I mean, obviously being a foodie, I would probably be like, yeah, I'm going to have shrimp probably 4 out of the 5 days. This is my like Ron. I'm kind of like Ron Swanson with bacon wrap, not with bacon wrap shrimp, but like that's my number one favorite food wrapped around my number three favorite food,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I
um
definitely wouldn't be eating rice and beans and stuff for the last week. I would probably be eating some Philly cheesesteaks or some real tasty shit for the last
right.
week.
Hell
Something
yeah,
different
man.
every day that I haven't eaten the last 2 years. But yeah, man, no, I'd be traveling. I would just try to see as much as I could. Um,
Hell yeah. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, because like, so okay, makes me ask where, what would be a place?
Oh man, so I don't know, like if I was only a week and we're like still not breaking the laws of science or physics or whatever, I probably couldn't get further than the US realistically and have time to really do anything. But I don't know, I'm a big like national park guy. So I've been to a bunch of national parks and I love it, but I haven't been to Glacier National Park. I haven't been to like the Pacific Northwest. Um, you know, like Denali, all that sort of stuff. So that might be an option. I'd love to see that shit. I think that would just be beautiful. I've been to like Grand Canyon and Zion and Yellowstone and Badlands, and I just went up to the
Same.
UP in Michigan a few actually last month, and that was incredible. It was so cool. I went hiking. But yeah, man, if I could go international, oh geez, that's tricky, man. I don't know. Really would love to travel to like um, I'd love to see Japan just because I always, that's always been one that I'd love to like get to and just see someday. I don't know, but I just the little bit of traveling, I say little bit. I've been lucky to be able to travel a lot for the band mostly, but also just private life vacations, family stuff, whatever. Um, and I don't know, I just love it. I love experiencing new cultures and getting perspective, and kind of breaking out of my box,
Sure.
the U.S. Northwest Indiana Midwest blue collar thing, that I grew up in and that I'm proud of as hell of, and we all are. But it's kind of cool, like the last summer or this last summer we went to Europe to play Dynamo Fest, and we're in Netherlands, and that was my first time in Europe, and it was just so cool to just kind of see a different perspective, and I think it gave me there's a lot of value in that for me. So any opportunity I have to kind of do that and experience it is always really special. So I think being able to use my last time to do that would be the way I'd want to spend it. Because who knows if you're taking anything with you, whether they be memories or whatever, that's a whole other deep philosophical conversation for you. But
Right.
I think experiencing all that shit, that'd be really special, special way to spend your last week on Earth.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing it from a great perspective, as they say.
Hell yeah, man.
Absolutely. Uh, dude, Jason, thank you so fucking much. I appreciate you for doing this. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. What is that the country people say? Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise or some shit.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
Right. Midwestisms. Midwest goodbyes always, you keep fucking going. Hey man, what about this? And then see you later. What about this?
Hmm.
So we're gonna leave out today with a music video. Hopefully there will be more to come. This is Cloaked in Black.
Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Hey metalheads, after going to a rager, what's your ultimate go-to? Mine is totally pizza. So when Overload is playing or I'm promoting the Metal Forge live showcases or the big goddamn metal show, I go to Pizza Donisi. Pizza Donisi is gourmet artisan pizza from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. It features things like the pizza of the month, the sandwiches, and also vegetarian and vegan options, which is so totally fucking cool for all of it's awesome pizza. You definitely want to go. Hey, and also from time to time they do cannolis. Oh, so fucking good. You know what they said, man? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah, just like that in Godfather. They're located right next to the Mag Bar at 1396 South 2nd Street. So either stop in or call in at 502-213-0488. They're open till midnight. The witching hour.
Heineken, fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Hey metalheads, you all hear me talk about Mag Bar all the time. It is the home to the Metal Forge live showcases and is an integral stop in the Ultimate Underground Metal Tour schedule. They obviously feature live music, but the Mag Bar also has daily specials like Pint and Slice Night on Tuesdays with Pizza Donisi. But they also do Bring Your Own Vinyl on Thursdays with DJ Kent Jackson, and Finer Things Sundays. Located right next to Pizza Donisi at 1398 South 2nd Street, open 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. Get your asses out to the Mag Bar. Rock out. For 45 years in keeping Louisville weird, Electric Ladyland has been there for all your eccentricities. While they do offer the best smoking supplies out on the market today, there's a whole lot more to check out. From ashtrays and blacklight posters, to records, incense and burners, and items to stock your metaphysical supply. They are open from 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Located at 2325 Bardstown Road in Louisville, Kentucky, and at electricladyland420.com. Roll out. In 2017, one man's vision and passion for all things metal started out as a record store in his house. Years later, the fight against a mainstream empire continues as Shade Beast. An independent metal collective and online store based in Athens, Georgia, is the world's premier heavy metal brand for music heads that value authenticity over the mainstream acceptance. Featuring original t-shirts from some of the best underground artists, as well as stickers,
posters from the Shade Beast Presents concert series. Unique, one-of-a-kind collectibles and small curated selection of vinyl and cassettes from the masters old and new. Visit shadebeast.com and enter promo code SithLord for free domestic shipping on your first order, whether you're a new customer or returning. And be sure to join the Shade Beast social groups on Facebook and the interwebs to keep up with the new release announcements and talk all things metal and Star Wars. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and filth.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soul Grinder Zine! An independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. to distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code METALFORGE10 to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now.
Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby.
In a broken wasteland,